You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is November the 12th, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, the always wonderful Joel.
Yo.
And the yet-to-be-nicknamed Nick.
Hi.
My new goal, I was thinking about it today. I had a very busy day, didn't get to come up with an answer, but we have the always wonderful Joel. Nick needs something. He can't just be Nick. Nick is also great.
Carl.
Yeah, but it seems very unnecessary for me to give myself a fancy nickname.
I would like to give you a nickname.
I would like you to not.
I was going to go with the always grumpy Carl.
I'd say that's not accurate.
Sometimes
I'm not always wonderful.
Good point. Touche. We can.
I'm only saying that because literally, before the show, I wanted to talk about something, and you were grumpy about it. That's literally the only reason why I said it.
That's fine. You were probably wonderful right before we gave you that nickname too, so that's fair. We'll give Nick a nickname based off of one emotion that he elicits at some point in time.
Good. It'll be just a shotgun decision. I like it. Don't think too hard about it.
We should talk to Nick. Can you provide us a couple of close friends and or family that we can get information from as we choose a nickname?
I sent you all my references before I started here. You didn't call them?
No.
Nobody calls references.
Have you ever called a reference, Nick? I have.
No, and on second thought, I don't want any of my friends or family coming up with nicknames for me.
Well, you should have given us different references then.
Oh no, I'm in trouble now.
They always say not to use family and friends as references. Now you know why.
You say that, but everybody does.
Yeah, 100%. I need to come up with reference lists here soon. Hey, guys, do you want to be a reference?
I'm told that I'm always wonderful, so yes.
That doesn't help me.
I will not. I will retract my always grumpy, and I will give you a different nickname.
Oh, thanks. Well,
I don't know. I got a ton of ideas for Carl. I got to think of some for Nick.
Okay, you stew on that. We're going to get into, speaking of jobs, Joel Quenneville, he probably needs to come up with a reference list here. We'll get into that today. The Ottawa Senators, we talked about them being a tire fire of a franchise last week. We ended the show, and a very special video dropped. We'll get into that this week. A couple guys that we might talk about are getting inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And some other people who are very deserving are also getting inducted alongside them. We'll probably touch on that. William Nylander.
Wait, how long did
he's doing?
How long did you think of that joke? How long did it take you to come up with that joke? Days? Weeks?
That was on the fly. This is improv we're doing here.
Doubt it.
And but before that, let's talk about Park Power. This is our newest sponsor to the Alberta Podcast Network. Park Power is a place where you can get your power. So in Alberta, you have the ability to choose who provides you with your power, and Park Power does a great job offering low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities, which is my favorite part of it. It is very easy to save, to switch and to save. To do both, head to parkpower.ca to get more information about that, where you can save and help charities, which are, I think that's the greatest way to get your energy. So you should do that. Where do you want to start? Do we want to do this chronologically with the Ottawa Senators? Ottawa Senators, last week there was a video came out starring a number of members of the team, kind of highlighted by Chris Weidman, Matt Duchesne, Thomas Chabot, and Chris Tierney, making sure that everyone's involved, even the new guys, specifically ragging on the coaching staff for the team, talking about how terrible they are, and essentially everyone knows it. They know it. This was released from an Uber. I'm sure you've seen it, but if you haven't, head to the Twitters or the YouTubes and just search Ottawa Senators Uber. And thanks to that wonderful Arizona Uber driver, we can all watch this video.
That guy who can fit like a million people in his car.
I mean, it's a clown car, which is the most fitting car for Ottawa Senators.
This is insane. I thought there was 4 of them. And then the video ended and they just kept getting out. How many back seats does this guy have?
Yeah, who knew he was taking the entire team back? But
how awkward is it for those 2 guys that were like there knowing they were going to be sent down to junior? And they're just like, yeah, we hate this team. It's like, I feel sorry for those guys.
Yeah. The ones at the front, obviously they knew what they were doing. But to be fair, you look at this and this happens all the time, right? In locker rooms, when the coaches are around, you're going to talk about what's happening in any workplace. Most likely there are conversations happening that are negative towards at certain times, right? The boss, you might talk poorly about bosses. But they don't get recorded and released. And I think that's what makes this a little more difficult for the Senators. Obviously, they came out and apologized, as you need to, right? You can't say those things and then just be like, yeah, we own it. That would have been quite the feat to just come out afterwards and be like, yeah, we said it, deal with it. But they didn't. They apologized. For the Senators moving forward, where do you how awkward do you think this leaves it? What is the franchise situation? Because we talked last week about how bad it is. This doesn't make it better.
I don't know if it... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the most awkward part's probably already passed. Is that initial, stomach-dropping moment when you realize that this video's on the internet and you have to face your coach who you were talking about, or your head coach who you weren't talking about afterwards. But it sounds like they dealt with all that before this video went public.
I don't know if it really changes anything. It's like, everyone knows that Matt Duchene, not the nicest person, doesn't really care about his team. This isn't the first time that Matt Duchene has been accused of not caring about team or teammates or whatever. So if anyone was surprised by this,
yeah, when this video dropped and Matt Duchene was included, I was like, oh, that's what happened in Denver. That's why everyone was happy that he left.
Yeah, but at the same time, so to be fair to Matt Duchene in the one sense, Nathan McKinnon's doing the same thing right now. Everyone does it. How many jobs have you worked where people complain about their boss and then 2 minutes later are joking with them and listening to them doing work?
Yeah, all the time. Every job I've had.
Every job.
Yeah, so I get that it doesn't look good, but who really cares? It's so bad there. It's just unfortunate for those guys that it got recorded and then posted. I don't know. I assume every team is doing this. I assume this is it's the same thing. You think Matthews and Babcock had a meeting in Arizona because Matthews was talking nice about it behind his back?
Yeah, that's fair.
I assume this happens on every team.
Yeah, that would 100% be the case. And even, a team that wins the Stanley Cup, you're going to have those issues throughout the season, for sure. So
Barry Trotz got fired after he won the Stanley Cup.
someone was talking bad about him. His boss was saying bad things about him.
And frankly, it's probably a good thing that these guys feel like they can talk to each other about this stuff and vent that way. It probably, makes them stronger friends and stronger teammates. It's just unfortunate that it had to go viral.
I think what this makes me think of is what, as you said, this is happening in every locker room around the league. It made me start to think of who are having these conversations and what are these conversations like? Who is Connor McDavid hopping in an Uber with in Arizona and just ripping into Todd McClellan and the coaching staff there? Because quite honestly, I'd be curious who when Connor says something, do the rest of the team be like, Yeah, we're sorry, Connor. Like he's talking about us.
Connor McDavid's got a lot to complain about. But I think there's a difference in Connor McDavid doing it in Edmonton where that team it's a smaller city and that team is very well known. They're very recognizable in the city. I mean, these guys were in Arizona. Being in an Uber with a stranger is probably the equivalent of being behind closed doors there, you would think. Apparently not. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure McDavid's doing it.
It's probably like I don't even know who McDavid. It's probably like McDavid and Nugent Hopkins sitting there like just complaining about the GM and Lucic. That's all they're doing.
Pulling up cap friendly.
Yeah.
Look at this.
You've got to be kidding.
You can't even see the end on the screen.
Yeah.
Very, very.
It would be so. Yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like. It's probably hilarious. I would like to be that Uber driver.
I want that Uber driver to release it. I know the one in this instance says he regrets it, probably because he got punished for it, and I too would regret it if I got publicly shamed for my decisions. But Ottawa, nothing boring coming out of Ottawa. The always exciting Ottawa Senators, not for their on-ice product. We talked last week about the next coach that would be fired, and we talked about Mike Yeo. We talked about Jeb Blashill. We talked about everyone except for Joel Quenneville in Chicago. A quick trigger in Chicago, don't you think?
Not really. They've had what was the year they got swept in the playoffs? Was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago to
and
Nashville?
then they didn't make it last year.
Correct.
Right. So,
yep.
So this has been a bad team for a bit now.
Yeah, I think it's officially the end of an era for this core.
Oh yeah, so it's not really a quick trigger.
I look at it though, because again, I understand why they fired him, right? Because it's a lot easier. Same thing with the other teams we talked about last week. It's way easier to fire a coach than to get rid of Brent Seabrook's contract, right? Like that's not a thing that's happening. So I get why, but at the same time, I would think like Joel Quenneville's not the problem there, unless the team's tuning a motor, they need a fresh voice or whatever it is. But I look at that team and I'm like, Joel Quenneville is not the reason your team is losing. Getting rid of him is not going to fix anything.
No, I don't think he's the problem, but I think coaching is a knob you can turn when your season's starting to flail out of control like this. It's hard. It's easier to deal with the coach than the players, right?
Assuming, I don't know how many years he had left on his deal. I'm assuming someone's going to pick. So he's probably going to get picked up. Like if he wants to coach, he's going to be able to coach. And so they save some money. Like
this guy's going to have no problem finding a job. If he wants to work, he'll get a job.
So
but they paid him out for this year and next year $12 million total, I think.
Only if someone signs him in the offseason, I think they don't have to pay him next year.
Oh, is that true?
That's usually how it goes with coaches, I believe.
Well, it's still a nice little payout. If I'm him, I'm taking a nice little break. It's been how many years that he's with the Blackhawks? Rest a little bit, go south, and then deal with it in the offseason.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, you look at this, and I wouldn't want any team that's going to have a coaching vacancy right now is going to be terrible. Right? Like, do you really want to try to bring the St. Louis Blues back to life? Do you really want to try to resurrect the Anaheim Ducks? Do you want to go to Detroit? Like, none of these situations are ones that are nice. You wait till the end of the season. Hey, maybe the Stanley Cup champs will need to hire a new coach, right? Like, if I'm to him, for sure. Obviously, he said, taking his time, but I wouldn't be rushing into a situation when, it'd be real nice to be coaching the Washington Capitals right now if I was him. You
know what thought I did have last week when it happened was he he coached with Mike Babcock at the Olympics as an assistant. Why wouldn't Toronto throw him a bunch of money to just come coach out the rest of the year alongside Babcock and see what they can do together this year?
Nick, literally nobody wants that. Like, that is the worst thing you could have ever thought
Toronto
of.
can afford it.
I don't see the problem. But
Yeah,
he's like, I don't think I think it would be hilarious for him to go back to St. Louis, but I don't think he's going back to St. Louis.
I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would, obviously, if they were to be like, hey, we'll pay you the $6 million you're getting paid to sit at home to come coach in Toronto as like an assistant, sure, I would probably do that if I was him too. But I also not entirely sure Toronto would do that. I don't think that they're that frivolous with their money. But we'll see.
Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, deep pockets.
No salary cap in coaching, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's right.
So where do you think, we had this conversation last week, but is there anywhere that you think, other than Nick with Toronto, if you were to come back this year, is there anywhere that you think would be a good place for him to end up?
Good for him or good for the team?
Good for him, because I think most teams would be a good for the team, right?
Yeah.
I would take him in Colorado. He could come back to Colorado. I'd like that over him going back to St. Louis. But like with the coaching carousel seemingly started up, there will be some more openings, I would think, throughout the course of the season. Especially if you see a guy like Joel Quenneville, you start to ask questions, right? And then I would venture to say that you start asking questions, people start to figure out, hey, I'm on the short end of the stick, and maybe they start to look other ways too.
How interim can the Willie Desjardins interim tag be? Can it just be like, hey, it was 3 weeks, we're good now? Like, can they?
I don't see why not. You can pay him to go away the same way that the Blackhawks paid Quenneville to go away.
Yeah, but LA probably can't pay two coaches to go away.
I don't think Willie Desjardins getting paid that much as an interim. I'm sure he's getting paid well. He's doing fine, but
one of those West Coast teams, right? LA, Anaheim, like you said, I don't think there is a good or bad fit. It's just anyone. I don't know. So
I think when you're in Joel Quenneville's position, any team, I don't think there's going to be a good for you situation in terms of winning now. Because any team that's firing their coach mid-season and bringing someone else on, just kind of on a whim like that, because, hey, suddenly Joel Quenneville's available, they're not in a good situation roster-wise. So he's probably the best situation for him, I would think, is waiting till the offseason, being able to set up some meetings with teams where he can actually put a plan in place for them instead of just inheriting a tire fire and having to deal with it immediately.
Yeah, the only one that I think would be a good fit, and again, no one's been fired there yet, but if the Flyers decide to part ways with Dave Haxtell, that would be one that I think a good roster for now, good roster for the future. I'd be excited to jump on that bandwagon.
They seem pretty committed to Haxtell though, eh?
Like illogically so, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In spite of all the product on the ice says, they're still just going to keep letting them trot that penalty kill out there. But we will see where Joel Quenneville ends up. Hockey Hall of Fame. It is Hockey Hall of Fame weekend, and Joel is very happy that people are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. A lot of very deserving people are going in, as mentioned. The two biggest ones of note are Gary Bettman going in, which I didn't realize you could be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame while still active, but apparently you can. Martin Brodeur. He's going in. Willie O'Ree heading into the hall. Martin St. Louis. He's heading in there as well. And so Number of NHLers going in there, some other folks heading in as well. But from the NHL angle, those are the ones going in. And obviously, Martin St. Louis, very deserving. When you put up a career as an undersized person, when before it was cool to be small in the NHL, Martin St. Louis did it.
Is that so? Like that's the criteria? Is like if you're undersized and good, you get to go in the Hall. But if you're like regular sized and good, no, you got to be even better.
I think he actually put up the numbers, right?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like, so he was good enough to be in the Hall of Fame, and he happens to be smaller.
Yeah, I do think Martin St. Louis deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. You know,
So if he was 6'3", Hall of Famer still.
if you put up over 1,000 points, no matter what height you are, but the reason I brought that up is because for so long he was overlooked because of his size, right? Especially, given up on in Calgary, in 24 years old, only 20 points to his name, went to Tampa, and did good things with the Lightning.
He's certainly a good story. Stanley Cup winner, right? He won the Cup with them.
He did, yeah.
Whatever year.
He won the Cup against the team that bought him out.
2004, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Allegedly won the Cup. You're welcome, Flames fans.
Hey, here's the thing. I meant to mention this to you. I know, living in Calgary, you hear the alleged Calgary Stanley Cup. I was talking with someone in the 6th grade this week, which would clock them in at, 11 years old? Born in 2007, 3 years after the Flames almost won the Stanley Cup, and he told me a very detailed retelling of how the Calgary Flames won a Stanley Cup and had it denied. This is what parents are teaching their kids this. This is going to live on forever.
This is growing up in the age of the internet. You just have the world at your fingertips.
Yeah, they just they show them the Martin Gelinas goal every night.
It wasn't a goal.
Look at this. Look at this goal. That's a goal, son. Do you know what a goal is? Yes, Dad. Excellent.
Look at this pixelated footage.
And
We'll
for the
zoom in
rest,
even closer.
and for the rest of that kid's life, he believes that all you got to do is touch the goal line with the puck.
It's unfortunate, but it happens.
So,
Martin St. Louis going in, very deserving. Obviously, Willie O'Ree, deserved that he should be in the Hall of Fame. And then Gary Bettman, he's going in.
boo.
And I think they're making a new wing for him because there's the builders, there's the players, and I think there's a new wing of lockouters that they're making for Gary Bettman, which is it's just going to be a locked room and his plaque's going to be in it.
He's the best at it, so, I mean...
That's what they put up everyone's stats, and it's going to say, Gary Bettman, 3 lockouts.
That's pretty good. I mean, I'm hoping he can get 4 by the time it's done. So just
he will. He's not going anywhere anytime soon.
One
Just
for
to
each
get that
finger,
one.
right?
yeah, that'll be good. I just so I hate Bettman. It's well known that I hate Bettman, but there's one thing that I love about him. I love that he embraces being a villain. Cause he just would at the game on Friday night in Toronto, he was just soaking up the booze. He was just this just feeds my soul. It makes me that much stronger.
I actually remember watching the moment where he stopped trying to shush everyone from booing him, and he just accepted it as, yeah, okay, bring it on.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that he's managed to do that. Cause Goodell, when he gets booed, he just kind of stands there smirking or whatever. He doesn't really do anything, but Bettman just kind of chuckles and just keeps on going and doing what it's pretty funny.
It's borderline WWE, the way Bettman listens to the boos. I expect next time he's handing out the Stanley Cup, he's gonna be running from one end of the red carpet to the other with his hand to his ear, what? Give it to me! Give it to me!
As soon as We Are the Champions starts playing, by God, that's Bettman's music!
Yeah, so Gary's going in, and everyone's least favorite goaltender, Martin Brodeur, everyone's favorite St. Louis Blue, going into the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, that's 2 Martins going in this year.
It is. So it was really confusing. I was watching like the interview at the intermission of the Hall of Fame game, and like Duthie was just, he's like, "So Martin," and I was like, "Which one are you talking to?" Like, it was so confusing, and like I'm not even sure they fully knew who he was talking to, but
so Big Martin and Little Martin.
So, you okay there, Carl? Like.
Yeah, you obviously knew this was coming, right? Like, Martin Brodeur, record holder, all the accolades that he's had, the Stanley Cups, the Vezinas. Yeah, obviously, when you win 4 Vezinas in 5 years as a goaltender, you're going to the Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter.
It'd be weird not to have the best goalie ever in the Hall of Fame. So
I mean, yeah, a few of them better than him are already in there. So I don't think that was that wasn't a concern for me.
Who's better?
You know where I stand on this. The scale is not on a scale from Andrew Raycroft to Martin Brodeur. It's on a scale from Andrew Raycroft to Patrick Waugh.
Well, because Brodeur didn't play for the Avalanche, so obviously. It can't. If we're using Avalanche goalies, I'm just confused why. Because this obviously has come up. I'm just confused why like people still think Waugh is better than Brodeur.
I personally feel like that because the team the team in front of Martin Brodeur made it much easier to put up great goaltending numbers than the team in front of Patrick Waugh. Right? Right.
The Sakic and Forsberg and Adam Foote, like those guys were schlubs. Forget about those guys.
No, I'm saying you play in front of or behind that trap system. You play with Scott Niedermayer and Scott Stevens. Yeah, it's gonna go pretty well for you.
Stevens was a good defenseman. Like he just hit people. I don't know if he was actually that good.
So you're saying, what I'm hearing is you're saying you think Martin Brodeur had it easy out there.
I think that you could have, I do not have the numbers presently, but if you were to look, if he had given someone else the net, because he was playing in like 70 plus games, right? If he had given someone else the net, someone could have done a very respectable job in Martin Brodeur's stead. And here's my example for it. Okay? Martin Brodeur, in 2008-2009, in the midst of right after his Vezinas, he just won the Vezina, coming off of that, going to the next year, he only started 30 games. In those 30 games, he had a save percentage of .916, a 2.42 goals against average, and a goal saved above average of 6.61 in 30 games.
Why are we only talking about 30 games of Brodeur's career?
Because if you compare that to the guy who replaced him those games, Scott Clemmensen, a better save percentage, a better goals against, and a better goals saved above average. Scott Clemmensen was able to be better than Martin Brodeur the year after he won a Vezina. During Brodeur's heyday, Scott Clemmensen showed up and was better than him. If Martin Brodeur was so good, you could not have replaced him with Scotty Clemmensen.
But if Patrick Waugh was so good, he would have won a Vezina after Hasek and Brodeur entered the league.
The Patrick Waugh still managed to put up his numbers, and you looked at what came in.
He didn't win a
Vezina,
him. Though. He wasn't even the best goalie of his era. He couldn't even be the best goalie of his era.
Martin Brodeur.
I was talking about Waugh. I wasn't talking about Brodeur.
Joel, we're talking about Martin Brodeur. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Let's at least give the guy respect to let me poo-poo his career. Yes, Patrick Waugh was able to win Stanley Cups. He did not win a Vezina while they were in the league. That is correct. But that's because of Eastern bias. He moved out west.
Oh, come on. Oh, my goodness. You can't even. I just won the argument right there. That was your comeback.
You could hear the reaching in his voice.
Yeah. like at least you could have been like Brodeur was younger. It was like you could have gone somewhere else there. But Eastern bias.
I couldn't have gone that Brodeur was younger. He won his last Vezina when he was 35 years old.
I know, and Hasek was the same age as well. So it's really like it was just. I just don't know. Okay, so I don't think. Well, I do know this. Carl cannot talk about this objectively. So Nick, on a scale, like, where do you put because Brodeur? I don't know. I don't care who you are. I'm guessing he's a top 5 goalie all time.
Easily, yeah.
But where would you put him in this conversation?
I would probably Brodeur or Waugh. We're talking Brodeur.
We're talking Brodeur. Carl doesn't want to talk about Waugh anymore.
I would probably put Brodeur at number 2. I think I would put him above Waugh, but behind the great Dominic Hasek.
I hate Hasek so much. I always joke that if I ever got a chance to see the Stanley Cup, I'd scratch his name off of it. That was but I was as I was looking over the last week between these 3 goalies, I was just I'm not even sure how close it is between those 3 who the best was. Hasek's numbers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, can I just confirm that Nick, the Detroit Red Wings fan, is saying that Patrick Waugh, not the best goaltender, and he will be putting former Detroit Red Wing Dominic Hasek above him. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, but
he asked me to be objective, Carl.
It's okay.
I've noticed, yeah.
It's okay because he agrees with me, so I'm fine with that. Because if I'm going to order them, I'm going to go Hasek, Brodeur, Waugh. That's my order.
I would have those as a solid threesome, yes. And we will leave it as that.
It's fine. You're obviously not going to be sad with any of those 3. I mean,
no, you're going to do well.
They all won cups.
I'd probably put Scott Clemmensen a solid number 4, though.
Hey man, that Devils tandem won more Vezinas than Waugh did during that time, so I would too.
Yep. There you go. Let's go to something that talks about Joel's team.
I'm just not sure I would want to hang my hat on that Scott Clemmensen makes Brodeur worse. If that's the argument you want to go with, I'm just not sure. I'm trying to protect you.
It's too late for that, Joel.
I don't think I've even heard that name until you brought it up 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, it's one thing to be yeah, Waugh's better. It's another thing to be yes, Clemmensen's as good as Brodeur is. It's yeah, I'm not sure this is the greatest argument.
Just saying, that one season, if I cherry pick sample sizes, Scott Clemmensen was magic. His career went downhill when he went to the Panthers. He cashed on that big money.
That backup goaltending in Jersey, because isn't Keith Kincaid was magical last year, wasn't he? Yeah. Is his name even Keith Kincaid? I don't even know.
I would say that's the name, Keith Kincaid.
Is he not still splitting the starts this year with Schneider?
Oh, he definitely played Friday night.
Yeah, he's playing a lot.
And Joel saw just how good he was on Friday.
He was so good.
Yeah.
Did you see that goal against Morgan? Nick, did you see the Morgan Riley goal? He didn't even move. I was like, how do you not even move?
Here's what I don't understand about that goal, though. Why would Morgan Riley go up to him after and apologize for scoring?
Oh, just to rub it in. It's hilarious.
You think it's a chirp?
I think he felt bad. I think he was just not only did I score on you, but I hurt you emotionally. So I think it was just, I think he legitimate. That's why I would do it. I'd just be I am so sorry that you were just wrecked forever now. It was like was it the Tommy Salo goal in the was it the Olympics? It's like that moment.
Dan Cloutier, just a whole slew of former Vancouver Canuck goalies getting wrecked by terrible goals.
Exactly.
And future former Vancouver Canuck Keith Kincaid.
Anyway, yeah.
On Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night, Elliot Friedman reported that Kyle Dubas has told teams around the league to get your offers together, pony up the offers, and send them in for William Nylander. He's not actually going anywhere, is he, though?
I've heard things today. So, like, LeBrun talked today about how this is just, it's Dubas just doing his due diligence. Like, cause he'd be kind of silly not to at this point, to be like, hey, like, at least, like, cause if someone's going to offer him something of really good value, like, why would you not do that? So I think he's just I think he's more likely to not play at all this year than get traded.
Yeah, I think it's more of a negotiating play than anything, because at this point of the season, you're never going to get fair value for Nylander. No matter what return you get for him is going to be disappointing.
So unless, because like when was Ryan Johansson traded? Was that preseason?
No, he signed probably 3 or 4 games into the season, and then was traded after he signed. So he'd actually already had a contract in place when he was dealt from Columbus.
So I don't think I'm still in the he's going to sign camp. I still think that's the place, but like I think it's more likely all 3 are on the table. I'm not saying like there's no chance he gets traded. All 3 are I think are viable options, but I would say most likely he signs, second most likely he doesn't play, third most likely he gets traded.
Yeah, the Johansson Seth Jones trade, January 6th.
But he had already signed. I didn't know that. I thought which makes sense because you can't sign that late in the season. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting how quiet Nylander's camp has been. And I guess technically the Leafs have been quiet too. Because they're not saying anything officially public. Whether they're leaking this stuff on purpose or not.
I think they probably are. But it's also harder for Kyle Dubas to stay invisible and out of the spotlight too, right? Like when he shows up at a Philadelphia Flyers game, people are going to report that he was at the Philadelphia Flyers game. Nylander has the benefit of being overseas in Europe, hiding out in his basement.
Or with Fortnite.
Probably playing Fortnite.
He's over in Sweden hiding in a bush somewhere. Yeah, I agree that it is, probably not super likely that he's going to get traded, but I would lean more towards, at this point in the negotiation, I honestly think out of trade, not play, or sign, I would put signing with the Leafs third. Because if they're still at a stalemate, what in the next 2-3 weeks, because they have till December 1st is the 12th, so they have 19 days. What's going to change? That wasn't the case before, right? I don't see what kind of pressure, certainly from Dubas' side, right? The Leafs are not going to make a multi-year decision based on one difficult contract situation, and William Nylander shouldn't either. If you're saying the Leafs shouldn't be pushed one way or the other because of this, William Nylander, if he thinks he's worth it, go full Lev Bell and just sit out the year and see how that works for you. But if this is a ploy for him, it's a terrible ploy, but he's getting dangerously close to just having to stick through it and see it through to the end.
I don't think that, Dubas gets paid. If Nylander sits out, he's giving up $6 million. You're gonna choose to give up $6 million, and then what if you I don't know. I don't think not signing is the most.
Not only that, then he's suddenly playing overseas with worse players, and he's missing out on a season in the NHL that he could have put up 60-plus points And, like, I don't know. I think sitting out is the worst thing for him that he can do.
And gets hurt, and then all of a sudden the Leafs are saying, hey, you got hurt on your own time. You want us to now pony up $8 million a year? Yeah, don't think so. Why don't you go figure out how to get healed in the KHL? That's going to go well for you. Like, that sounds like a terrible idea. Like, my guess is it's going to be a 2x6 bridge. That's what's going to happen.
Do you think they're that far apart on salary, though, on the money?
I don't think so. I think my guess is that Nylander would probably take 7.5 and the Leafs would probably give 7 on a 6 or 7 year deal. But they're probably debating over $3 million over 6 years.
I think they can make the money work. I was thinking about it today. I wonder if it's any of the extras on the contracts, like the bonuses or the no trade or no move clauses. Because don't forget, there's an expansion draft coming in a couple of years. Like,
he's not getting a no trade. I think that's the biggest thing, because it's clear that if it wasn't clear before this, it's clear that Dubas is like, Matthews is my number 1, Marner's my number 2. Like, and I think it's extremely clear, because I don't think the Marner negotiations are going to be this bad. Like, I expect them to go much more smoothly than this.
I don't know. I think he's going to have to play hardball with all three of them. They're going to be tight in a few years. They got to make it all fit. I guess it depends if Nylander stays or goes.
I guess. I don't think, the Matthews one is, I think the Matthews one is the easiest one, because you know what the range is. Because he's not McDavid. So he's not going to get more than McDavid. And so I think that's the easiest one, because you've put a cap on it. Because if he comes in and asks for 14, you can just say, yeah, go find someone to pay you that, because McDavid is not making that money. So you know what the top is. It's just what the bottom is. So it'll be, it's difficult, but I find it interesting that they're making the decision based off of, we want to be contenders for 5 years, not for this year. Because I think that's why they haven't just signed him.
But they are contenders for this year. Do the Leafs really need Nylander? Oh. Do they need him in the lineup this year?
I think they can win without him.
They can win without him. The team has all the power here. If he wants to play, then he will come down to their number, whatever they're asking, 6.5, 7 million, whatever.
And Dubas, he's going to add a piece or two at the trade deadline, like that, whether with or without Nylander, because they're going to have the cap space to do it with or without him. They don't obviously they become that much better if he plays, but they're going to make the playoffs. They are going to contend in the playoffs. They may not, once you make the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. You have no idea, but I don't think as much. Yeah, I agree with you. There's so much talk out there that Nylander's in control and they're not going to get value for him. And I still think the Leafs hold all the cards in this play.
They absolutely do.
Well, and even if you look at the team versus last year, right? You take Nylander off the team, you replaced him with John Tavares. The team's better than they were this time last year with Nylander out of the lineup. So there's certainly no need for the Leafs to rush into a situation and to give him a contract that hurts them, especially when you do still have to have both of the Marner and Matthew signed. And I would agree. I would slot Nylander third behind them as well. And I don't know exactly where I stand, but I would listen to a case where there's other guys on that team, right? That would be more important to bring back, right? So
yeah, I mean, the other thing too is they don't need to trade him right now either. There's no rush to trade him. If they're dead set, if he's asked for a trade and there's no way these guys are ever going to do business together and they want to trade him, sit him out for the year, move him at the draft, because you're going to get better value for him than right now.
But he had, this is the thing that I think is hilarious, is that they know he doesn't want to be traded because he keeps on asking for a no trade. That's one of the sticking points. I was like, come on, man. I was like, you're sitting there saying he knows that this is his best opportunity to win a Stanley Cup. because he's not getting traded to a team that has a better opportunity.
Yeah, there's not a lot of teams with cap space to fit, especially if he gets the rumored numbers he wants. But if it's coming in at 7.5, there's not a lot of teams sitting around with 7.5 million in cap space right now.
He's not. I honestly think it's the Draisaitl contract. Like I honestly think that this is the problem, and that these GMs are having to deal with Edmonton's total misread of this, situation. So the only team, it's Trouba. If there's somehow, that's the only guy, because Winnipeg's got to trade him because they both hate each other now. So that's the only situation that might be as better or as good as the Leafs. But that's the only team.
Winnipeg's still got to add to that trade.
So,
anyways.
But yeah, we'll see where Willie ends up. But I guess we're coming down to it. December 1st is what day of the week is that? December 1st is a Saturday. So that'll be some nice Hockey Night in Canada drama that we'll get to talk about. And then they'll move on to a different Leaf storyline to cover for the rest of the season. So that'll be nice.
There always will be one, though. Don't worry.
Oh, there will be something. Yeah, because then they have to talk about the Mitch Marner and the Austin Matthews signing, and who's going to fill William Nylander's spot, and all of that good stuff. So, lots to come, and we'll obviously have the always wonderful Joel and the yet to be named Nick. I'm gonna really think about that as the night goes on.
Don't let it keep you up all night.
I will. Don't tell me what to do. Always bossy Nick.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Wow. You getting on me for calling you the... See? Always grumpy Carl. I
told you. Yeah. All right.
I guess I can... The reason why I called him always grumpy because he was being grumpy about talking about Brodeur. Now that we actually did talk about it,
yeah,
he got
it off his chest.
Carl's not always grumpy. Only when I make him talk about the best goaltender of our era.
We didn't talk that much about Dominik Hasek.
Well, you're starting to come around.
Hey, look at that.
Nick told me that he was right, so I figured I should listen. Let's play some high sticking, shall we? This is the last week for points. We're going to pick our Pavel Bure must-watch games of the week. This is the last week to get points. I filled in for Nick last week, and
how'd you go?
I haven't seen the final score. Well, obviously, the last game of the week is just about to start. Columbus and Dallas, and obviously,
I haven't seen the score yet. Hey,
I haven't seen the
score.
Have not to see the score of the game that's yet to start. No, I obviously sided with the Dallas Stars because there's no way that this podcast is coming out pro fifth line.
But just generally over the course of the week, how do you feel you did in high sticking?
I got 5 points, which is pretty good. There was somehow I managed to forget to get a pick in one day. But I wouldn't have picked the right one anyways. It was the Sharks game. I believe there was a game this week that the Sharks were in and they lost, and I would have picked the Sharks. So I didn't feel too bad about that. But yeah, I'm moderately proud of myself. I know Joel copied another player's picks and got 6 points.
I did not do that.
Okay.
What?
We'll ask Matt how he feels. Matt, did Joel not copy your picks?
Matt, be careful what you say. There are extra picks on stake for this.
Well,
stake? I don't know what at stake. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, so Joel got 6 points. I got 5 points, and Nick is clocking in at 1. So yeah, I didn't embarrass myself.
Have 1 point?
I didn't play this week.
Yeah, but you played. Didn't you play the week before?
Oh yeah, I did play the week before.
It's harder than it looks.
This is why we don't play. This is because it makes us look bad. There's no reason I should be at the top of the three of us. Like, there's no reason of this.
It's fair. But you are. And that's how we got here. So the way this works, head to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, and you can play high sticking. We're going to pick our must-watch games of the week. And then you're going to head over for each of those, pick who you think wins the game and what you think the score is. If you get all of that right, you get 3 points. If you only get a little bit of it right, you get less points. Right now, the winner, this is a guy who's made a concerted effort to play every day. Our old friend Rod from LA is leading the league.
Top.
Yeah, he's got 18 points. He has mounted a ferocious comeback this week.
Nice.
Picked against his Los Angeles Kings against Calgary on Saturday. Picking with his head and not his heart. 6, 7, 8. 8 games in a row Rod has gotten points in. He has 12 points in the last 8 games. That, my friends, is how you mount a high-sticking comeback.
8, because like you have to get the game right. So he's picking the winner every time.
He's picked the winner in 8 straight games. He's also picked one of the scores right in 4 of those. So he's doing well for himself.
Oh.
I believe he has the Stars tonight. So if you're wanting to know who's the hot hand, follow Rod.
That might be Hall of Fame worthy.
It could be, yeah. Certainly better than old Lockout there getting in. So let's pick our must-watch games. Let's see what we have. So Tuesday, who wants to start?
Okay, I'm going to give you guys some options.
Okay.
Here are your options. Pittsburgh, Jersey, Washington, Minnesota, Nashville, San Jose. Those are their 3 options.
I would pick Pittsburgh, Jersey, probably.
Nick would
Really?
I would have gone
Jersey?
Nashville,
San Jose, yeah.
There it is, Nashville, San Jose. To be fair, yeah, okay. I was thinking of the fact that Pittsburgh has just lost a lot of games, and I got distracted by that. I'm like,
Okay.
what's the deal with Pittsburgh? Maybe we should dive into that next week. What is the deal with Pittsburgh?
Sure. While we're doing that, we'll talk about the Washington-Winnipeg game. Because that's the game on Wednesday, right?
I would venture to say so.
Yeah. How the times have changed. St. Louis and Chicago's that night.
Yeah, that's probably the rivalry game.
It's a game you would have picked 3 years ago.
Probably.
Yeah, Washington, Winnipeg.
Which brings us to the 15th. We've got Tampa, Pittsburgh. We have Toronto, San Jose.
That one. Toronto, San Jose.
All right. I'll be watching it anyways.
Exactly.
You'll stay out. That's in San Jose, Nick. That game doesn't start till like 10:30 for you.
Yeah, but I have a Leafs fan in this household, so it'll be on.
All right. Well. All right. Friday, the 16th.
Oh, it goes against our rule of trying not to double dip, but like we got to go with Carl's first and second team, right?
Oh yeah, the Carl Cup.
Carl Cup, Carl's favorite team on the road against Carl's second favorite team.
All right, Washington, Colorado. That's the game for that night.
Washington in Colorado.
Washington taking on my Colorado Avalanche. Brings us
Saturday night. No hockey's on.
There is no Leafs game on a Saturday night for the one time this year. Is there something special on Sunday that they're doing? No, they're not even playing Sunday.
No, it's because the stinking West Coast needed to play back-to-back Thursday, Friday. So
that means it's a Hockey Night in Canada game is going to be Pittsburgh at Ottawa.
Yeah, it could be. No,
it's going to be Montreal, Vancouver.
Montreal, Vancouver. No, yeah, that's the only one that's Hockey Night in Canada. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Montreal, Vancouver's the CDC game.
That's in Vancouver.
Yeah,
that's a 4:00 game.
Yeah.
Get hyped, Vancouver.
Those are my favorite because, like, Vancouver, like, the people lose their minds when they get the 4 o'clock. Because it always happens when the Leafs play in Vancouver. They get that 4 o'clock game on Saturday afternoon, and they just lose their minds about it. They're just like, Toronto this, Toronto that. Everyone loves Toronto. It's hilarious. So, I watched the Battle of Alberta that night.
Probably. Yeah, that'll be a high-scoring game. Puts Cam Talbot against Mike Smith, hopefully. Whew.
Either that or
goals are going to go in.
Or watch Detroit for breakfast.
No.
How do you guys feel about going...
You don't want to throw up your breakfast.
How do you guys feel about going to a game in the afternoon? It feels weird. I don't... Like, it's a unique experience, but I don't think I like it.
I got tickets to see The Hitman I think it's January 5th, and it's like a 1 o'clock start. But I chose that because I'm taking Henry.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you have a 3-year-old to bring, that's great.
Yeah, so like, but like, so now, like, but like I realize, like, that's what everyone else is going to do. Like, like The Hitman, like, that's going to be like a huge family game.
Yeah, and you can do that for like an affordable junior hockey game or AHL game, right? But I'm not sure, like, is there a lot of families that are... I guess there'll probably be more families bringing people out to an afternoon game.
I would think so. Like, I think you would try, like... But, like, I'm not taking Henry to a NHL game. Like, I have tickets to go see the Leafs in Calgary later this year. Let me tell you, Henry is not one of those tickets. Like, I don't care what time of day it is.
Yeah, I don't mind the afternoon games. It's kind of like baseball. Most of the games are in the afternoon on the weekend.
Yeah, I guess I'd never thought of that. I was like, I've gone to tons of afternoon baseball games.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's more outside, so the sun's up, but hockey, I don't know. On my Saturday afternoons, I'm either doing nothing or chores. Yeah. So I'm happy to get away with either of those things and go to a live hockey game.
Well, great news, Nick. When you are doing chores, when you're in the midst of doing laundry this week, you can fold laundry to the sweet, sweet tunes of the Detroit Red Wings and the New Jersey Devils.
All right.
Keith Kincaid.
Keith
Kincaid versus Jimmy Howard.
Keith Kincaid's going to get a shutout.
I don't even know what to do on Sunday night. I don't want to watch any of those games.
I forgot that we still have to pick another game.
We have to pick one more.
I'd close the app.
So it's like Dallas Islanders, Jersey, Carolina, Wild, Blackhawks, Colorado, Anaheim, Vegas, Edmonton. It's all just like you.
Yeah.
Like, you could choose Colorado, Anaheim, but like I don't even think it's on TV. I don't even know what Prime is. That's probably not even a station.
I assume it's on Yes. Not Yes. Altitude. That's not the same thing.
It is on that, yeah.
Yankees Sports or Yankees Entertainment.
I assume that Yes Network shows Avalanche games, right? They're just, what else are they going to put on in the off season? Yeah, my head on that one, and again, I don't know why, but it goes to New Jersey, Carolina. Apparently I really want to pick New Jersey this week.
Such a weird game. You actually, you want to watch that? It's a 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock start for us. That's just a weird game, man.
Yeah, I'll probably be watching... No, I know what I'm going to be watching instead of that game. I'm going to be watching the last NASCAR race of the season. That's what I'll be doing.
I don't know. Just choose.
New Jersey, Carolina. There it is.
Okay. And then we're done Monday.
We're done Monday.
Do we want to... We could play a Monday game, because I don't think we're recording till after Monday.
I was going to say, spoilers, next week's show might come out a tad late. Like a day late.
Are we... yeah, we need to figure that out, but...
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. It's either early or late. It's not... We're not recording on Monday.
Yeah, let's aim for a game. We'll pick a game, and worst case scenario, it just goes into next season's game. My eye goes to Tampa, Nashville. It also could be convinced to do Tampa, Nashville. I could be convinced for other ones, but that's what I think.
No one wants to watch Tampa.
So I know there's a really good Monday Night Football game on that night. Kansas City versus the Rams.
Don't pick. Let's watch Monday Night Football. Don't pick a Monday game.
Nick, what do you think?
Sure. I'm all for Monday Night Football.
All right, there you go. We're going to be watching Rams and Chiefs. You can watch hockey. We'll have some hockey. The Leafs are playing that night, so Joel will at least tune in for that. You head over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast for that and more. Head over to the AlbertaPodcastNetwork.com for the latest and greatest podcast things coming from Alberta. As always, lots of great shows there. Lots of new shows coming in. If you are into business, if you're into education, politics, there are lots there. We always talk about some of the events that are happening. That's lots of interesting things happening with the Alberta Podcast Network there. AlbertaPodcastNetwork.com/events. We talked about the Grey Cup show coming out. But head over there. Lots of great things, lots of events to check out. If you're in the area, especially in Edmonton, there's lots happening there. You can find us at thefourthlinepodcast.com where we have lots of great content there, podcasts, writing, articles, lots of great things coming from our team over there. And I think that's all for the show.
Boom City.